You then report to the supervisor what the results were anonymously. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. If the supervisor is in the room, that will influence what people say at that focus group. And so, and that's too bad. By the way, some organizations are not like that. We've run into some organizations where there's mutual trust and openness with regard to these topics. And in those situations, supervisors can be there, but generally you keep them separated. And then you have to have a focus group with the supervisors. And when you find out that, by the way, that's 360-degree feedback. When you find out how do the supervisors feel about the workers and how do the workers feel about the supervisors, it's that mutual perception between that needs to be figured out. If there's big gaps there's a lot of misunderstanding, but that's how you understand the culture, and that's how you determine what do we do next to make this organization more interdependent, more safety focused, more, here's the word, actively caring.
Great word. I love it. And I'm just going to throw one thing out there. I think that sometimes we tend to forget the importance of the supervisor. And we talked about that on a podcast a few weeks ago. And the reason behind it is that we tend to forget that upper management speaks to the supervisors to relay a message to the line level employees and vice versa. And sometimes I think that we forget the messaging that comes from them and the importance if we have to hold them accountable and have to be able to use them as the mouthpieces out in the field. And I think that sometimes we just go, they're watching employees and not really paying attention. It's one of those things that we tend to forget how important they are and how we need to put our culture into them, really reference the information on what we're trying to accomplish as an organization to them.
Jay, you're so right, man. Think about it. The supervisor is frankly determining the culture. They're the ones out on the floor. The leaders, too many of the CEOs are behind their computers. They don't have time. So the ones who are out on the floor talking to the workers, interacting, they're determining that culture. And so, by the way, we have to teach supervisors about leadership. We have to teach supervisors what it takes to inspire others to be self-directed, to be self-motivated. How do you get people more engaged in the process? Supervisors need to learn that. They are critical. And of course, top management, CEOs, or whatever you want to call them, they have to understand that and realize, hey, if you can't get on the floor to talk to these employees, your supervisors need to do it, and you need to talk with them so they understand the culture we want, to be caring for people culture.
I agree with you 100% there. So out of curiosity, when Safety Performance Solution actually comes in and they start working with an organization, have you had those rare occasions where somebody's like, I'm trying to change the culture within the next 6 months because I'm trying to acquire a contract, or you have some very strange request where they think that there is a time management where we're going to change it that quick?
Well, the first thing is, what is culture? I'm telling you right now, you could do something relatively minor that could change culture. Again, Paul O'Neill did that. He started out by saying, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make this organization actively caring. He didn't use that word. We're going to put safety first. We're going to care about you getting home to your families without an injury. By the way, that statement coming with sincerity from Paul O'Neill, that probably had an effect on the culture right away. So some things can happen pretty quickly, but let's face it. Who knows how long it takes? That could change. But now, of course, you have to support that. When Paul O'Neill said that, when the CEO says that, okay, what are you going to do about it? Show me a program. We're going to have a perception survey. Oh boy, they hate perception surveys because they don't see them going anywhere. But if you do a perception survey and you actually show that we've made some changes around here because of your input, or how about this? We're going to set up safety suggestions. Years ago, there used to be safety suggestion boxes in organizations. Of course, now we have email, Send in your suggestions. And the day you start doing something about those suggestions and letting your employees know that we are changing this because of what you said, that can change the culture immediately. But so again, changing culture can happen with a process. like I just described. Or, of course, it really depends. What kind of change do you need for you to recognize the change? But nevertheless, there are some basic things that we can do in an organization to turn it around, to make the people believe, wow, you do care about us. If you care about us, then I'm going to care more about you, and so I'm going to do more for you. If you teach a leader what it takes to increase self-motivation, we have 3 C words. This defines self-motivation: choice, competence, and community. What do I mean? Give your people the perception that they have choice. It's not a requirement, it's an opportunity. It's not about compliance, it's about commitment. How you talk can influence whether I feel I have some choice. In fact, the leader who comes into the room and says, hey, we have a problem, and I don't know the solution. He or she might know the solution, but it's not going to say it. I want to hear it from you. So the day you let those people know that you want their opinion. Remember what Deming said? People who create a process are more likely to support the process. That's choice. That's the choice part. Here's the second word: competence. Dale Carnegie said this in 1936. How to win friends and influence people. Help people feel important. So leadership is about helping those people realize how important they are to making this organization run. That's competence. And it takes simple conversation. How about some recognition? How about a thank you? How about some gratitude about behavior you saw somebody do? That increases a sense of competence. Wow, that can change a person, can increase their self-motivation. Here's the third word: community. Now, the researchers, DC and Ryan, these are the folks, there's years of research on this. They called it relatedness. People realizing they connect to others. I like the word community because we are a community, and it's a notion of interdependency. We're in this together, folks. We need to become systems thinkers. Just like when you drive on the highway, how many systems thinkers out there? It seems like a war out there. Everybody's trying to get to the location as quick as they can. One car length ahead, they'll pass people on the right and then scoot in front. That's not systems thinking. That's independency instead of interdependency. So those are some examples of what we need to change that. So in this culture, we want to be community-based. We want to be interdependent. Again, those 3 words, C words: choice, competence, community. You increase that perception and you increase a sense of self-motivation. People will feel empowered. By the way, I do have a TEDx talk. I'm very proud of my TEDx talk. It was posted about 3 years ago, and it already has almost 7 million views, which is pretty exciting for a teacher. And it teaches about self-motivation and what it is to feel empowered. You just Google my name, Scott Geller, TEDx. The X is because it came from university, and see what you think. I've had organizations tell me that they play my TEDx talk on self-motivation. It's the concepts, research-based concepts, and then they have a conversation. They said, let's talk about what this means for us. How can we take these concepts, for example, of choice, competence, and community, and relate them to our organization? And then they operationalize it for their culture. And I had one of my students come up the other day, and she said, Dr. Geller, my dad is a judge, and he has his juvenile delinquents watch your TEDx talk. And he wants them to see self-motivation. And then, of course, they have to talk among themselves. What does this mean for us? What do we have to do to bring these concepts to life in our home, in our community, in our workplace?
You've covered so much in just that answer right there, but just the whole portion on how you have this driving force behind you about safety, and just listening to you speak and how excited and motivated and really showing that you actually are caring for people, for their safety in general. It's just amazing just to hear how that works. Now, I will tell you, last week during our conference, you handed me a bracelet and it had a number associated to it, and it says activelycaringpeople.org. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's a process. And I've been talking the word actively caring since 1991 when I was editor of the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis. The word actively caring that's a word I use in my book in 1996, The Psychology of Safety. But after our tragedy, April 16th, 2007, my students came to me and said, look, the wristband you've been handing out says actively caring. for people. Let's put numbers on these wristbands. Let's track acts of kindness. By the way, it's not random acts of kindness. It's intentional acts of kindness. We intentionally act to care for another individual. And now we have numbers on these wristbands. So when you show an act of kindness, you can go to the website, activelycaringpeople.org, and you report that act. What did you do? Who did you give the wristband to? And what was that about? And you report the number of the wristband. And when you hand out that wristband, the Actively Caring People wristband, you tell them, don't keep this. You've joined our movement. Thank you. But I want you to pass this on to somebody else when you see an act of kindness. And then they take that wristband, give it to them, tell them to go to the website, activelycaringpeople.org, and report that story. All of a sudden, you can see your wristband travel from your town to South Africa. We've seen it happen. So all of a sudden, we're spreading positive gossip. It's about acts of kindness. It's about actively caring. And organizations can do it within their organization and maintain and count up what acts of kindness are we recognizing in our organization. So for me, it's exciting. It's a token of what we need to do more of. Look out for others. Actively care for people. Again, humanistic behaviorism at work.
Well, Dr. Geller, if you don't mind, I would love to actually go ahead and put a link on our website for activelycaringpeople.org, and also, of course, for safetyperformance.com, if you would not mind us doing so.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, man. That's Jay, I love that. And again, when people go to activelycaringpeople.org, they will see stories. They will see stories that people have reported. I give out books all the time, and sometimes people will report that. You send me your mailing address, my friend, and I will send you a book. I've written 2 novels with a colleague. One is on courage and one is on self-motivation. It's a novel. See, I am a frustrated old professor. I've been teaching for 50 years plus, but I'm afraid that the stuff that we've learned, that I've taught and done research on, is not going to get out to the people. I've read too many pop psychology books that are totally wrong. One book is called Punished by Rewards. Another book called Drive is totally wrong when it comes to motivation, but they're not written by psychologists, and they're written by journalists. One is written by a lawyer. And I'm saying that I'm frustrated because those books are being read by the public. So I've tried so hard. I've written academic texts, but who reads those? Your students read that. But so I wrote 2 novels to try to get it out to the public. And now the scholarship I'm working on right now, I'm proud of it. It's called 50 Life Lessons to Improve Human Welfare. And I've been working on it all summer, and I hope to get it out by the end of the summer. But I'm just sharing this to say, and I will definitely send you a copy, but I'm just trying to share my frustrations. By the way, Deming was frustrated too. He was 91 and he came across as quite cantankerous. If you ask Deming a question, you better have it together when you ask that question, because he doesn't want to waste time, because he was in a hurry to get his knowledge out there for fear he would leave this earth without sharing what he knows. I'm going through the same process myself. I'm saying, what's been my purpose? My purpose has been to be a teacher. But if I have this knowledge to teach and it doesn't reach the public, wow, what a shame. That's my challenge right now. From now until the end of my days, that's what I'm doing.
Well, Dr. Geller, I'll put it to you this way. If you have something that you want to say, you can contact us at any time, and we will leave you an open mic format, and you can say whatever you want to say to our audience. And I would really appreciate it if you did that.
Wow. Well, again, Jay, you send me your address, and I will send you these books. And when I get the new one out, the one on 50 life lessons. By the way, when I say 50 life lessons, what am I saying? I'm saying there are 50 lessons from psychological science that we've learned that the world needs to know to make this world a better place. It is about improving human welfare. It's about improving well-being, life satisfaction. And these 50, and there are more than 50, but I narrowed down to 50. Matter of fact, my workshop at ASSP was on those 50 life lessons, but I gear them, of course, towards safety. But these are life lessons that everybody needs to teach each other. And I've written this book in such a way that families can communicate with their children and teachers to their grade school kids about it. I mean, each lesson starts with a picture, a cartoon, and then it has some questions about the picture, and then it has a one-page description